Oh yeah. Oh, I like this. Oh yeah. Oh, we got one, up one, up one. We up one, up one, up one, up one. We up one. Never been nothing that you used to. Yeah, upper echelon. That's all the crew do. Spending all your time trying to hate some. Yeah, that's exactly why you ain't up one. Two. I'm always playing the back. I just be plotting. I just be watching. I just be stating the facts. Shoot from the hip, cursing the gift. But I'm so grateful.
What's up, everybody? This is the Good Bros Pod. Actually, no, it's not the Good Bros Podcast. This is the Good Bros Coin Talk. We're here with another episode of the Coin Talk. I know it's been a long time since we've done an episode. It's very hard to get these things scheduled. We got to get everyone together. We got to get guests in because it's not just going to be me and Wes doing these things. It's going to be a group of people. This episode is going to be called, you already know what it's called because it's in the description. This is the hip hop episode. We're going to talk about the hip hop industry, our feelings around it, what we think about it. Now, I don't know about my co-host Wes, but my knowledge on the hip hop industry is not that great. What about you, Wes?
Yeah, it's a little something, but yeah, not the biggest thing I could say that I have the most knowledge on.
All right, so we went out and found two guests that not only know about the hip hop industry, they participate in the industry. And that is my man's Ease that you guys have heard a million times on this show before. It's nothing new. My man's Ease is here today.
Yo, Good Bros, thank you for having me. Good Bros Coin Talk. It's all the same. Thank you guys.
And then I know my man's Wes. He brought his mans in. Wes, you want to introduce your friend for us, man?
Yes, indeed I do. My good brother from another mother, known him for a minute. Excellent rapper, got the bars. So hopefully he just set his own mic ablaze. I feel bad for his company because that bitch might be, got me on that one, ball. But his please mic burst into flames. But my good brother, Napaj, how you feeling, man?
What's going on, Wes? Good Bros, man. How y'all feeling? Thank you for having me.
All right, so Napaj is new to the show, so a lot of you guys might not know about him. Some of you guys know about Ease, but we're going to get into their background, their experience in the industry so far, and basically how they got into music and where they are now with music. And since Napaj is new to the show, why don't we get to know a little bit more about him? So Napaj, can you tell us a little bit about yourself? You know, how did you get into the music industry? And how is it going for you so far in the industry?
Yeah, so my name is Napaj, Japan backwards, for those who don't know. I've been making music probably since 2016. I've always loved music. My father made music when he was young. My brother raps as well. My other brother sings opera. So, I come from a musically inclined family. So it's definitely always been around. But I started writing music and recording music in 2016. So, just been keeping my ear to the ground, trying to figure out, what people like, what they want to hear, what they don't want to hear. And, just stay true to myself on, in my music and my songs that I create. So.
Yeah, that's dope, bro. I actually didn't peep the name until you explained it. And I was like, oh, snap, it is Japan spelled backwards, bro. Why? And I was like, what the heck does Napaj mean? That's crazy. And I didn't even peep it. That's funny, bro. I did not see that at all. That's crazy.
Yeah, my people's looked out with a dope name, so I had to make a rap name.
Thanks.
That's what's up. So Ease, man, the man, the myth, the legend. You've been on the show so much, but we don't know how you got into music. We don't know how the music industry been to you since you've been into music. We know we got a few of your songs on our show, but we don't know much about how you came to be the man you are now. So can you please give the Coin Talk listeners a bit of insight into the man behind the name?
Yeah. I started rapping probably when I was I want to say 12 or 13, but it didn't get serious until 2010. That's when, just started pushing it a lot more, going to the open mics, performing a lot, so I don't know. I mean, it's a grind. Any artist will tell you, it's a grind every day, every year. You got to reinvent yourself. Try and do something new, and that's where Silent Tough Guys came from. Like we started doing that because we just wanted to, not only do the music, but like branch off into other things like doing TV shows or YouTube shows, things like that. But yeah, that's me. I'm here, good bros.
That's what's up. That's what's up. So as our viewers and listeners may know from the previous episode we did like this, we have a ton of questions that we're going to get into, a ton of questions we're going to talk about. And I want to start it off with what started this idea to have this episode. And it was the culture around music. So as we may know, like the 90s was, I think, if I'm correct, y'all guys, obviously the ones that know more about the industry than I do can correct me if I'm wrong. But I feel like in the 90s, that's when hip hop like was in its peak. That's when it's like started coming up and it started being a thing everyone listened to. And then you look at how the hip hop industry looks now today, and it seems like it's very different. It doesn't seem like it was the way it was back then versus how it is now. And I guess my question to our two guests is, would you consider music today, the culture, more dangerous now today than it was in the 90s? Or would you consider the 90s way more dangerous then than it is to now?
I guess, Paul, you want to, we can start with you, Podge, if you want to jump in first. Doesn't really matter.
I think a major part of hip hop originally was the ability to like speak your truth, in music. I think I was talking to Jordan the other day. I'm talking about Biggie. We're talking about some Biggie lyrics and how they were questionable. So like me personally, I don't think the culture has changed. I just think people are just more sensitive. People are listening harder. They just calling people out. You know what I'm saying? Versus in the 90s where they kind of just accepted it for what it was. In 2021, everybody's taking your lyrics and they're putting it under a microscope. And I think it's bad for the game, honestly.
What about you, Ease? What's your opinion on that?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely wouldn't say it's dangerous now or it's more dangerous compared to the 90s. I mean, the 90s was a little more grimy than, the image of hip hop was more grimy. That was like New York backpack. They running around with razor blades in their mouth and shit like that. Oh, my bad.
You good, bro. You good.
Yeah, you good.
All right, yeah. I mean, it's definitely a different energy because back then it was more competition driven. I feel like everybody wanted to get those spots because it felt like they only had but so many spots available. So it was a little more cutthroat. Like they would step on you, to get to where they want to get to. And, in comparison to today where you can pop off of the internet. So it's not really that, drive to try and be the better X, Y, and Z. Right now it's just be the best you can be. And hopefully people see you. So it's not even close to what it was back then.
Yeah. And Podge, you actually got to a point where you talked about, how the lyrics are looked under a microscope now. It's like everyone's analyzing every little thing. And that's interesting that you pointed out because that's another question I wanted to ask you guys is cancel culture. Do we feel like cancel culture is hurting this industry a lot more now than it's ever done? Well, can't say ever done before because cancel culture just became a thing about a decade ago. So
yeah.
Right. Yeah, it just go back to what I was saying just about like the Biggie thing. I was talking about a line he said, and he says, she's so fine, make you want to, that's her daddy's D. I'm trying not to cuss or whatever, but yeah. I was just like, that's a little weird to me. You know what I'm saying? Like it's some very pretty women in the world, but they don't look that good to the point where I want to, top her dad off. And, that's weird. You know what I'm saying? If somebody would have said that in 2021, they would have ate him up. No pun intended. But yeah, so like the cancel culture though, like I don't know. Like I said, it's just so weird. It's hit or miss. People choose what they want to complain about, and like what they don't want to complain about. They'll let certain people get away with certain things. So like I really try not to pay attention to other people's opinions. I think I got a pretty solid ground as far as like what I look for in artists. So I just go, based off of what I believe in, my morals, and go from there.
See, speaking about that though, I want to touch base on that. But before I do, Ease, do you feel the same from what Napod said? And then I have a question for you both.
I actually have something I want to just interject in real quick. Because Pod said something interesting when he was talking about Biggie's lyrics. Because, I think like a month or two ago, DMX passed. So a lot of his music has been resurfacing. Everyone's been listening to his music. And I remember there was one song I just really banged with the chorus. And that's Where the Hood At? Where's the Hood At? And I was listening to that song. And like when you, like if someone said like, bro, tell me you don't like gay people without saying you don't like gay people. Where the Hood At is the biggest song that you can play because the way he just goes off on homosexuals is like insane. It got to the point where I was just like, bro, this isn't a good representation of how I feel about, gay people. So I just stopped listening to it. I love the chorus, but when you get into the lyrics, like he talks about like stomping out gay people that just because they want to be gay or calls them the F word and stuff like that. He goes like way into it, bro. He goes all the way in on gay people. And it's just like, yo, I don't remember this song being like this because I always remembered the chorus, and the chorus is what I banged with the most. And then when I actually heard the lyrics, I'm like, bro, there's no way a song like this could get played today and that person even have a career. Correct. So I definitely understand where you're getting with Podge when you talk about lyrics. But I just had to put that in there before I forgot about it. But Ease, definitely want to hear your thoughts on cancel culture and how you feel like it's affecting the industry for sure.
I don't know if it's affecting it. See, I feel like cancel culture only exists online. Like a lot of these people who talk this talk, or they, this cancel talk, they don't follow up with it. They not boycotting your music. They're not going to these labels and telling you, oh, you can't play him, or we're not going to support. Because I don't know. That's just me. I just feel like all of that is just like performative. They're just trying to put on the front, to seem like they're like morally, superior basically, and they're not. You know what I mean? So I don't think it's affecting the industry. And I think the ultimate thing is you're free to say whatever you want. The consequences you're not free of, but still free to say whatever you want. So artists, if you're an artist, you should speak your mind. But at the same time, you should still have it in the back of your mind, like what you're saying in today's climate at the same time. I don't think an artist, though, I don't feel like an artist is going to compromise who they are or their beliefs to fit in, though, if that's the case. So, see,
and then that's what I wanted to touch base on, because Pod, you started touching on how you said like artists and their I'll be more specific, like rap artists, like in this time they're like more under that magnifying glass and stuff like that. And then Paul, wow, that's going to be a doozy right there. Podge Mahal. It's like, nah. But
clown.
Would you also agree though that really like maybe cancel culture isn't just as new? Maybe it just wasn't as popular back then. Because I feel like rappers always had the so-called, I guess you could even just call it haters or people, like you said, Paul's looking at it under that magnifying glass. So do you guys feel like cancel culture has just always been there? It's just that maybe with social media, it finally gave them that voice or platform that they needed? Like how E said, it's mostly online now. So do you just feel like, say the internet was as prominent as it is now as it was in the 90s, would cancel culture would it exist back then? And it doesn't matter who starts first, Podge, East, either way.
No, it wouldn't exist back then. That's the thing. It's like we can't apply today's standards to them. You know what I mean? Like what hip hop is or what hip hop was back then is what it was. Like that was that era. It's just moving forward, we know more, we're more educated, we're more aware of people's sensitivities and things like that. So, that's it is what it is. It happened. You know what I'm saying? It's not right. It doesn't make it right. But, going forward, like I said, you are free to say whatever you want. Just know there might be some consequences to it.
I definitely agree 100%. I feel like I definitely think if social media was around, then quote unquote cancel culture would have been more prevalent in the 90s. I can definitely see that. Like, but people didn't have access to information, so I feel like everyone wasn't hearing all of the music. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
Music was like really limited to like the coast. If you was on the East Coast, you listen to East Coast stuff. You really wasn't banging West Coast stuff because they weren't on the internet. You know what I'm saying? So I definitely agree.
Yeah, I would say though, I feel like cancel culture is being a little more prevalent and like artists' like way of talking, the way they feel, because of like this current situation going on with the baby. Like the baby's like losing like sponsorships. He's getting kicked off of certain shows because of his expression towards like homosexuals. And
right.
I think like what's going on with him is very interesting because, like, I don't think it's any secret that, when it comes down to like homosexuals, like not everyone in the rap industry is okay with that. That's very taboo. That's very like different for a lot of people. Like, I'm pretty sure if you went to the Game and asked them like, yo, Game, how you feel about homosexuals? I'm pretty sure he's not going to be very PC with his response. Like, I'm pretty sure if you go to, even though he's passed, I'm pretty sure if he was still alive today, if you went to one of the newer artists, King Von, and asked him, bro, King Von, how do you feel about homosexuals? I'm pretty positive his response is not going to be very PC neither. It's just, I think Lil Baby kind of spoke up on it, and everyone's having like this negative effect and wants to cancel him because of that. Like, and honestly, I don't know, man. I feel like what he says, is it wrong? Yeah, but I feel like it's kind of getting blown a little too out of whack, if you get what I mean. Like, is his opinion a negative one? Absolutely. Should it be like publicized like, oh yeah, he's getting dropped from this, yeah, cancel the baby? It's like, I don't know. For me, I just feel like that's his opinion. His opinion might not be something I vibe with, but at the end of the day, it is what it is. If people want to rep his music or they want to put him on shows or whatever, that's your own prerogative.
I'm not sure. I think the baby is being very strategic in what he's doing. You think about, I don't really consider the baby like really hip hop anymore. Like, you really think about what he does, it's a lot of pop. You know what I mean? Like, you got to look at the crowd of people that, his music is targeted towards. Like, he's making the same song for the same people over and over again. And then now, he's at the show and this, he's being homophobic and et cetera, et cetera. I believe there's more money in hate than love. You get what I mean? So I feel like he's being real strategic on what he's doing because, you got a group of men like us who are going to be like, yeah, we disagree with that, but it's a whole group of people that is going to agree with what he's saying. And I really believe the same thing that he believes or may not believe, because we don't know if that's what he truly believes. I just feel like it's real strategic. You know what I'm saying? So he playing the game. He's playing the game right now. Do I agree with what he's doing? No, by any means. No, but I think he's playing the game.
I think just what he said was just stupid. You know what I'm saying? Like, just the chain of what he was saying didn't make any sense to me. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think you got to have like a PR mindset at the same time as an artist anyway. You should know certain things that are going to trigger backlash just from like recent trends. You should know the LGBT community isn't going to go for that. Like that's been happening. This is not nothing new. So Like I said, as an artist or even anybody, you're free to say whatever you want. A white person can call any one of us the N-word. Now, how we respond, they can't control that. You know what I'm saying? So,
and that's why I think it feels real strategic, because he knew what he said and he knew there was going to be consequences behind it, but he still chose to go out there and say it. So it's just weird to me, you know, it ain't normal at all.
Yeah, I think when it comes down to like people that say very controversial things, I don't think we need to like get on this whole thing where we have to like dump all the hate on them. Like, it's going to be what's going to happen is just going to happen. We just need to let nature take its course. Because again, sponsorships dropped them, you know, certain concerts dropped them, because at the end of the day, they want to like reach everybody. Mm-hmm. And they don't want to exclude one group because they want to keep this guy on for whatever reason. I just don't get why everyone has to go so hard and like, you know, on the internet trashing him, going hard, this, that, third, because he made an opinion. I'm like, that's his opinion. You know, at the end of the day, I like this one saying I heard where it was like, someone said, everyone's allowed to have freedom of speech as long as you're okay with the consequences of that speech.
Right.
And it's going to be consequences if you say certain things that may not rub the right people the right way. And it is what it is. I think too many people are too happy to hop online and really get on with the Twitter fingers about the whole being oh, F him, this, that, third. Honestly, I think what I'm getting at is I just don't like people that talk crap online. I think that's really what I'm getting at. But
I mean, I think people think their voices is a lot bigger than what they actually are.
Oh yeah, and honestly, with the baby, I think because the only thing I would disagree with something that you said before, Paul, I think he actually does really feel like that. Like I think that was just one of those moments where he spoke his opinion and he thought he knew that probably was going to be something with it, but he didn't think it was going to be like that serious. Like I felt like. I feel like he thought that he would have had probably like a little bit more backing with it, because as he stated, in the rapping community, you know, you probably have a lot of people that do feel like that. But, you know, what these celebrities got to just understand is, again, that it's just that social responsibility. If he had probably said this when he was underground or maybe even first came out, it probably even wouldn't have maybe have been as bad. But now for you to be at the height of your career, because I don't even see, like, because I know you said like hate, you know, definitely like sells more, but like I don't think he realizes the damage that he's actually kind of done to himself. And I think he's underestimating cancel culture, because like you said, you know, we're not the ones there, like, you know, like they don't really go too far with it. You know, like people really, not too many people want to stop supporting him, stuff like that. But like now these companies are, you know what I mean? Like it's not so much that the fans doing the work, it's the other companies doing the work now. Because as you said, you know, they want to make sure that, you know, they don't in any way, shape, or form seem affiliated with what he said, because then that's going to be money lost on their pockets. I actually really think this is going to actually probably set him back. And because honestly, I still don't just get, even if he didn't mean it, I don't understand why PR just didn't make him come out and apologize about it and just move on from it. Like maybe people won't still forgive him, but I think him trying to take this tough guy route out of it, I think this is really going to hurt him more than what he's thinking, really.
Oh yeah, it's already got him. That's the thing. Like he's already in the mix. Like where he falls or where he lands is on him now, because he just put out another apology, and you know what I'm saying. It was written by his people, obviously, but you know what I'm saying. I think the damage is already done, and I think what we forgot to mention too is that this whole thing he's mixed up with bringing out Tory Lanez before the performance. Or right after Meg had just performed, and, you know, they have their whole thing, and him taking the side of a person who's accused of shooting a woman in the foot. You know what I'm saying? That adds on to it as well. So, hey, man, you made your bed. That's all you can say.
Well, it definitely seems like it's like some form of like, you know, clout chasing. And that's something I want to get into with you guys, because one of the things that's different to me from hip hop and rapping in the 90s versus today is what's been glorified more. You know, back in the day, it was a lot of rapping about gangs and being a part of gangs and in a way glorifying like gang mentality, where, you know, one can beg to say, you know, people were there rapping about their life experiences and what they're doing coming up. And a lot of these people were in gangs coming up, and a lot of the things they did were around gang culture, where now you have a lot of people that they actually, I don't know, man. It just seems like they just be rapping about anything. Most of that stuff don't really be making sense, but it seems like a lot of these hip hop artists now are more heavy on the clout side of things. Because I look at like someone that me and Wes, we talked about before in previous episodes on our podcast, where we talked about how, you know, Tekashi 6ix9ine was running up on other rappers and people, making it seem like he's this tough guy when really he's not really all that tough. And then you look at, you know, other artists like Kodak Black and stuff that he does. So I guess my next question for you guys is, would you say like this new version of clout chasing might be more dangerous now than when back in the day when they were glorifying being a part of a gang? Or would you say it's about even footing? Because me personally, when I look at it, I kind of feel like clout chasing is way more dangerous because, you know, gang mentality is dangerous, yes, but you have more people who aren't really about that life trying to challenge people that are about that life to get clicks and views. And it's like, bro, you're willingly putting yourself in a dangerous situation just to be famous. So I want to get you guys' opinions on that, because I feel like the hip hop industry has developed these two sides that I brought up to a degree to be fantasized by a lot of people. So I want to see what you guys think about that.
Absolutely not. My bad.
You got it.
I was just saying, no. Hell no. It's not as It's not as dangerous. It's not even close to being as dangerous. The thing, like, that's the thing. Like, everything is on camera now. You got to remember that. So, like, anything that you do is recorded at this point. So if you gonna run up on somebody and yada yada yada, then you know it's more than likely recorded. It's probably on video somewhere. You indicting yourself. No one's doing that. They're not. They in the 90s. That's the difference though. Like they actually, you'll hear stories about MC Hammer checking Redman, or you'll hear about stories about like Onyx fighting people at the Apollo. Like that stuff used to happen on the regular. That's not happening now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like
they jumped Onyx.
Right, yeah, they jumped Onyx. So like that, there's so many stories you can go through in the 90s that you'll be like, oh damn, I wish we could have seen it. Yeah, but no one's recording it. You know what I'm saying? Like that was the street mentality. It's a whole different field. Like this is social media. A lot of this stuff ain't real. So
yeah, I think going to like the gang side of things, I think I'm not against gangs. I've never been against gangs. I know gang members who do amazing things in the community. I think we've been misled to look at gangs in a terrible way, especially gangs that are predominantly Black. You know what I'm saying? Because they are white gangs.
A lot of people don't even know that gangs were originally the first people to police the Black neighborhoods. They were created to help, keep a lot of the bad intentions out of Black neighborhoods. I found it like quite a while ago, and I was like, oh, I didn't know that. And that's originally what they were there for.
Exactly. So, as far as the gangs, I think there's a lot of positivity in that. Also, I consider, you think about like people from the 90s is like real and like keeping it real. I've never been afraid of somebody who I look at as real. Because I understand like, real men have like morals and understanding. You get what I mean? Like a real man not going to touch a woman or a child. You get what I'm saying? It's levels, it's codes, it's things of that nature. I've always been more afraid of the people who are clout chasing. You get what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, somebody like myself, I'm always going to mind my business and do me until I can't. You get what I'm saying? Somebody who's clout chasing is willing to do like anything for attention just to be seen. You get what I mean? And I feel like I've known people personally, who've lost their lives to, somebody who ain't really about that life, but feel like they got something to prove, Well,
that's why I feel like clout chasing is a little more dangerous than, the glorification of gangs, because if you look at it, like similar, because I wanted to ask you a question, Ease. When you talked about like people who are actually about that life versus people who aren't about that life, like you have people that look at someone like Tekashi 6ix9ine, and because of the persona he put on the outside, you have people that think that's how he is, and you have people that want to be like, oh, I want to be like Tekashi 6ix9ine. He did all this stuff to get popular. He did all this stuff to get big. So I'm going to go out of my way to be like him and do the recording, without knowing that because he's an informant, he has police escorts with him at all times. So that danger he's putting himself in, he's not really in that danger. And then you have these people that want to be copycats without understanding the gravity of what he's doing and why he's not really in danger. They're putting themselves in risk of being killed or taken out because, like Paj said, you have people that are about that life and people who want to pretend they are about that life. And then when they put themselves in a situation where it's time to prove it, they just lost their life.
Yeah. Sure. Go ahead and do it. You know what I'm saying? That's all I say. Like, go ahead and do it. If you feel like you can make it. But I don't think you should skip on the detail that he was surrounded by Bloods coming up. Like his come up was around gang members, basically. Right. So what he's become, that's what he's become. You know what I'm saying? Like once he started, snitching on people and yada, yada, yada. Yeah. I mean, that's who he became. But his rise was through gang culture. You got to remember that. So he was protected by Bloods at first. So.
Yeah, but like his personality has always been like that. Like the way he talks is how he talked when he was like affiliated with the gangs. They only tolerated him because that was their cash cow. And then once he outlived his usefulness, they got rid of him.
Talking like that.
Okay.
But with a different protection now.
That's what I mean. He never changed. He's always been that person, but like people overlook the fact that he was talking like this because he was protected. And a lot of people overlook the fact that the only reason why the Bloods protected him because they used him and he was dumb enough to let them do that to him. But most people don't look that deep in behind the curtain. They just look at what they see on the front and go like, I'm going to be like that, not knowing what being like that entails.
Yeah, my homie.
Oh, go ahead.
My homie, shout out to Nico Wave. He raps out DC. He engineered a lot of his sessions in New York City, Tekashi 6ix9ine. So we had text messages back and forth about, I was, just asking him how those sessions were. And the dude is quiet as a mouse in reality.
Really?
What I mean? Yeah, he's in the studio and he's quiet and, he was a puppet. You get what I mean? He was definitely a puppet. They used him until the well went dry. So everybody, walks by sight. They don't walk by faith, and I feel like, what people see on social media, they believe is real. And I believe everything on social media to be fake. Everything. And you know what I mean? Like I look at everything and I'm like, yo, that's fake at first until I see in real life that it's real. And I feel like people just put too much power behind social media and the image that because people only show you what they want to show you at the end of the day. So you could be whoever you want to be.
Do you guys feel as though like, kind of within like in the rap community, like they've stepped this is a hard question to ask. I guess this would be a 2-part question. So like, just in general, because I always have been kind of curious to this. Do you guys feel like gang culture is kind of like dying off? That's like kind of like the first like baby question, if you will. And then bleed into like the second question. It's do you feel as though like it's probably harder for like rappers to be able to come up now, like without like, the way of doing it with gangs? Because I feel like now, and correct me if I'm wrong, it's still, we also here to learn. But like, like you said, the way rappers would be coming up in the 90s and back in the day, they had that gang help. But now I feel like it's like now, especially with everything being recorded, all you need is that hit, that one hit wonder, or like, that one song, or even just dance to go viral. And then, you can pretty much just get signed from right there. So do you feel like, do you feel like for rap to be like fixed, it like it would have to go more to like, I guess, being controlled by gangs more again to become more real, I guess?
No. Yeah, I think that era is over. Like that gangster era is a wrap. Like that's not happening. It's been commercialized. Like the fact that they're selling Crip merchandise and blood merchandise on jackets like Levi and all these other places are selling, it's over. It's not going back to that. Like I don't think you're going to see a lot of rappers that are, true to the soil gang members anymore. Like you're just going to see a lot of affiliates. So yeah, that's a wrap. Like we are where we are right now. I think we're going to be, I don't know how to describe it, but I mean, it's just going to be a culture of, those, you're going to have trolls. You're going to have, all those aspects that you see on the internet involved in hip hop, because one, it's the most popular genre in the world now. So it's just going to come with the territory. You're not going to get, hard up people. You're going to get little Timmy, who just started rapping yesterday. That's what you're going to get. You get TikTok rappers. You're not getting gang members anymore. It's a rap.
Yeah, I feel like, we in an entirely different time. And I feel like there still is a lot of gang going on. There's plenty of gangs and plenty of people that are in them and repping. I think it's just not the focus anymore. You get what I mean? Like,
right.
It's not as cool to be that. I feel like people want to be more low about stuff like that because, like I said, going back to earlier question, like just things being under a microscope and you can't really say certain things. You know what I mean? You can't talk about, you can indict yourself on the track. You get what I'm saying? If you say the wrong thing. So that will never come back just because of the way the world we live in. You get what I'm saying? That you can't get away with stuff. So people definitely limit, what they saying, what they talk about, and their gang affiliations is something I feel like people keep on top. Like Nicki or even Cardi.
I love how we're talking about these two eras, because this is really, if you look at like hip hop, I feel like you can break it between like 2 to 3 different eras of hip hop and rap music. What I want to ask you guys now is, based on your knowledge or extensive knowledge of the industry, which artists do you feel like would have made it in the 90s and today's era? If you took today's era artists and put them in the 90s, who do you think would have succeeded in the 90s? And if you took artists in the 90s and put them in today's era, who do you think would have succeeded in this era?
I would say the easy one would be like Cole.
That would have been my guess.
You know what I'm saying? Like Cole's pretty true to like, his hip hop roots. So I feel like he could have made the same music then and it probably would have still hit the same way.
Still flat. But the only real change come from inside.
Fire Squad.
Yeah. I think there's a good amount actually. I think that group from like 2010-ish, around that time, like that freshman list that came through, like I think they would have made it, like Meek, Big Sean, Kendrick, all of them, Nipsey, they would have all, been just perfectly fine in that era. But I think like that's the thing, like those type of rappers, they would adapt to whatever the landscape is anyway. You know what I'm saying? Right. Because those rappers who were rapping in the 90s, they're doing that now. You know what I'm saying? Like Jay-Z and Nas, they're not rapping about the stuff that they was rapping about back then because they can't.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I think those type of rappers will always be able to adapt.
Only one still rapping about the same thing is Pusha T. He ain't never gonna change. He gonna give you the same cocaine bars every time he touches the track.
Forever.
You know what I'm saying? But it's crazy. Even saying Cole, it's hard for me to say Cole because Cole been around for a long time. So
Yes.
I'm trying to like think of someone like in the last few years, like.
I think he's hit it on the button. Like the artists in the 2010 era, they're still prevalent now. Like a lot of people bang with their music more than anyone else's music. Like I saw, like it was like someone was making a joke how they were listening to 21 Savage because all the real artists was gone. They was like, yo, I was listening to 2121. I was like, yo, this shit is kind of catchy, but I'm not really that sure. But then when J. Cole come out with a new album, I gotta listen to that. So it's like you can't really like look at like the artists of let's say like all the ones that are hot right now. Like the ones that are hot right now, it's very hard to pick any of them. To me, it's hard to pick any of them and say like, yeah, if you put them in the 90s and they had to thrive in the 90s, they would succeed, because it's like, in my opinion, the standards for hip hop and rap are a lot lower than they were back then. Like back then, you couldn't just walk into anywhere on an open mic and push out the kind of lyrics they'd be pushing out now, because you would get laughed off stage. Like imagine Lil Pump stepping on a stage in the like 1990s and pushing the music that he pushing now then, or trying to rap like how they rap now. It's not going to be the same. He's not going to succeed as far as he is in this era. You get what I mean?
Right, 100%. I mean, I look at 21 Savage as a lyrical artist, believe it or not. I've seen a ton of growth in his music since he's dropped his first project to now.
I mean, that's fair.
I think 21 Savage actually would have did very well in the 90s, because he is more of that, like that kind of street. He pretty consistent with, you know, the street music that he makes. I also think Lil Baby might be able to. I really compare Lil Baby to like Wayne. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like if he was in the 90s, he might have been able to pull that one off.
All right, I feel like we're going for the easy one. Now it's time for what I think might be a little harder.
Before that, can I just chime in real quick?
Oh yeah, sure, absolutely.
I mean, also too, I don't think we should like kind of paint the 90s as just all hardcore or whatever the case is, because we had a lot of conscious acts that came through. A Tribe Called Quest, Common, you know what I'm saying, Outkast. There was a lot of different alternative rap going on at that time. So I feel like there's even a larger group that could have fit in back then as well.
Well, I'm glad you said that, Ease, because that's what I was getting ready to get to. I wanted to hear, who do you guys think in the 90s that could succeed in today's era now? Seemed like Ease, you're already well on the way with a Tribe Called Quest, Outkast. Do you have any others do you feel like would succeed now that came up back then?
Yeah. I got to go through my list, but I feel like all the acts that really just came out around that time would be okay in this era, just because, like I said, they would adapt to the time like they are now if they're still creating music. So
I think I would have liked to hear like a 2020 Tupac. I think Pac had the illest flow. I'm like the illest. He was so smooth, you know what I mean? Like, and I feel like on these like 2020 really melodic trap beats, like Tupac would sound insane. You know what I'm saying? I think that would have took his sound like to the moon.
So all right. So then to add to what Paul just asked you guys. So in a way, right? We all know Young Money, right? Drake, Nicki, Wayne, whatever. Do you guys feel like they set the bar too high for what makes a quote unquote good rapper? And if they didn't, do you think there is any rapper who did set the bar too high for what makes a good rapper, to where like, not that like another rapper can't come out to get to that level and do just as good as them and then maybe even surpass me, you know, and break that glass ceiling, you know? But that's that, like, you know, that they've definitely just made it harder because they just were like so explosive, like more, you know, like shit that the world, you know, has done and never seen before. Well, not never seen before, but you know, it's been a minute.
It's hard. You said like 3 GOATs in like one sentence. And I was actually looking at the questionnaire y'all sent over, and it said like the top 5 artists. I could have put all 3 of them on that top 5 because there's nobody I don't think there's anybody who's ever going to do Drake numbers, like not for a long time. You get what I mean? Like Drake can't miss. Drake is to the point in his career where he doesn't have the ability to miss. Nicki is as well. Like they just so rooted in the game that whatever they put out is probably just going to go gold of people just listening to it. You know what I mean? Giving it that one playthrough, like the amount of people listening to that music is insane. They did set the bar very high, like very, very, very high. And yeah, I don't know a better group really than that.
Yes.
I mean, just on the other side. So hold on. Can you ask the question one more time? I just want to make sure I get this answer correct.
So, yes, sir. And Paul, I would like you to chime in too, because I was talking about this with my wife earlier. So pretty much, do you feel like Young Money set the bar too high for what makes a quote unquote good rapper?
Oh, no. Mm-mm. I think that bar was set a long time ago.
Interesting.
Oh man, there's so many good like lyricists from the 90s, like just being technical with your pen.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking about sales. Yeah, they set the bar high for sure. But as far as skill, no, there's people way more skilled than they are.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, so I'm gonna add my 2% of knowledge. I agree with what E said in terms of sales because I think like for instance what Pod says like Drake, Drake can't miss because I feel like Drake found the groove of how his music needs to be to appeal to everyone. You have some people like J. Cole is not going to appeal to everybody.
Right.
Same as Nicki Minaj is not going to appeal to everybody. You have some people that will even say they enjoy Cardi B more than Nicki Minaj. But, those people that are divided will all say they love Drake. Even when it came out like that Drake has a ghostwriter and he doesn't write his own lyrics, that didn't decrease his sales. If anything, it just increased because the more music he put out, the more people will vibe with it. The only thing I think people say they don't want Drake to do is dance. But outside of that, everything else, he's found a niche where he can appeal to all sides without really having to change up his flow at all. And that's my personal opinion of it. I don't know if our more well-educated guests would agree, but I feel as though he has the kind of music where you can play that music in any way. Like, I want to listen to rap music. All right, I'll put rap music on. If Drake comes on, I probably won't change it. I want to listen to R&B music. If Drake comes on, I probably won't change it. He just has that adaptable style, which I think flows a lot better. And again, like, the others, it's kind of like what he said, like they're not really going to be different because a lot of people, my opinion, I feel like Cardi B is a different version of Nicki Minaj. Like I feel like they're kind of the same a little bit to me. Like, yes, their music is different, but I feel like the way they come about their style, the way they talk about themselves, the way they rap is kind of the same, Nicki raps about how she knows she's that B. She raps about how she's confident in herself because she is that B. Cardi B kind of does the same thing. So, I think when you look at that, it's just a choice of preference.
No, I think it's a choice of marketability. I think Cardi's past is as big as she is always going to create a ceiling. You get what I mean? Because there's always going to be people that don't agree with people stripping, you know what I mean? Or her being a blood, you know what I mean? It's people who are against stuff like that. So I think that's going to create kind of like a ceiling just because they're going to look down on her for those things. Whereas kind of Nicki they didn't really have those blemishes on her quote unquote record or whatever.
That's facts. Now, what if I may just one more piggyback ease? Now you said in terms of sales, they definitely had set that, they set that bar. But in terms of like skill, whether it's like lyric flows or the pen, whatever, they didn't. Could you get into YouTube Podge? Can y'all give me 2 examples of someone who set the bar even higher in skill compared to them? Because I'm, again, like I said, here to learn that, you guys are sisters. So I would be interested to hear who you guys would think, set the bar higher than them.
I mean, if we're just talking about like mainstream, there's tons. I mean,
Me too.
if you want to go back and listen to like any old J, M, Nas, Biggie, definitely. There's a long list. I don't know if you heard of Tech Nine, Pharaoh Monch. There's Royce the 5'9". There's a lot of there are way better lyricists than them. But I mean, like I said, like I think the goal for a lot of artists is to combine sales, and marketability and lyric. So they're doing that. They've been able to do that. So, I think that's the key in hip hop. Some people really do it for the love. They're out there, but you know what I'm saying? You're not going to be as known. Like Common's never going to be as big as Drake, even though he's been out forever. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah, I think they're definitely, I can name probably local artists that have set the bar lyrically higher than Drake. You know what I mean? Like I can name people I know physically. It's just, you got to be all around. You know what I'm saying? You know, Mario Kart, you don't want a cart that's super fast with no handling. You get what I'm saying? You can be riding the rails the whole ride. So, you know what I mean? You want something a little balance, speed, handling, turbo. So I just feel like, Drake and Nicki and Wayne, Travis Scott, some other people just got the combination of all of that, which is what makes them so great. You get what I'm saying? I feel like lyrically, like J. Cole's last album was amazing. Like I feel like he topped all of his previous projects lyrically. I felt like he topped what a lot of people has done like lyrically in the last like 10 years. Kendrick Lamar as well, To Pimp a Butterfly. It's probably one of the greatest albums I've ever listened to. It is amazing. But it's not just like one area. You can't just focus on lyricism. You really got to be that all-around player.
So let's revamp this question that's on the questionnaire, the top 5 artists. So I feel like, we can, that's subjective. Are you talking like top 5 artists that are the best sellers, top 5 artists that are the best lyricists? So I'm going to modify that question because listen to Ease talk and also listen to you talk too on the pod. I feel like I need to modify that question. So instead of just saying the top 5 artists and leaving it very vague, if someone went to you guys and said, bro, I want to get into hip hop and rap music, what are the top 5 artists that I should look for if I want to get the full hip hop and rap experience? I want to start with you, Ease, and I want to hear what you also have to say in the pod after that.
Ooh, that's tough. Are you talking about like now or like artists in general?
In general. It doesn't matter now. It doesn't matter if you got to go 20, 30 years in the past. If I came to you, Ease, and said, bro, I've never listened to hip hop and rap music before. Right. What are the top 5 artists you want to put me on to, and why should I listen to them?
Yeah, I guess I would just go with the people you can't tell the story of hip hop without. Like you can't tell it without Jay, Nas, Rakim, LL. I probably have more than 5 to be honest. KRS. You can't tell the story without Eminem. You can't tell the story without Dr. Dre and NWA. You can't tell the story. Like really the building blocks happened in the 80s and 90s for hip hop. So everything basically spawned off of that. And there's a long list of artists, but those would be the ones I'd probably like right off head. If you asked me on the spot, those would be the ones I would name.
I was over here actually writing a couple down, and I was actually trying to switch up my list a little bit, just because of the way you asked that question, Paul. And I'm going to name a couple and then I'm going to just name why I named them. So Jay-Z, obviously. You gotta, I don't know if you've ever listened to like an original Jay-Z song, Paul. Wes, if you haven't, please do. You go listen to it, it's gonna sound like Run DMC. You know what I mean? Like when Jay-Z first started rapping, he was still doing that kind of, that boom bap, you know, before he got into the flows, you know, the unlimited flows that he has now. He was definitely doing, you know, that like late 80s, early 90s type hip hop. I definitely, and for the listeners as well, if you've never heard like OJ, just look some up on YouTube. I actually put Gucci Mane on my list. And the reason, he was the first person to make like trap music, in my opinion. I think if somebody had no understanding of hip hop whatsoever, I think trap is a huge part of it. And I think Gucci is the main reason. Gucci, Jeezy, T.I., 100%. I put Busta Rhymes on my list as well. Busta Rhymes definitely is underrated 100%. I think he was way ahead of his time as well, as far as his flows and his ability to rap as fast as he could rap. Let
me ask you a question, Napaj.
It's amazing.
Do you feel like because like when you said it, the first thing I was thinking is like how fast he raps. And I was like, what do you call that? And then I started thinking, do you feel like Busta Rhymes was a catalyst for mumble rapping? Because you have rappers who couldn't rap that fast. So them trying to came across as a mumbling. So do you kind of feel like Busta Rhymes could have been a catalyst for today's mumble rappers?
I mean, I could see where that comparison definitely could come from. I definitely can see that. I can't really give you a definitive answer, but I definitely could see the correlation between those two things.
Yeah, that's not to say he's terrible.
Unfortunately,
people couldn't.
Yeah. Unfortunately, like I'm not even sure if Busta was the beginning of that, but that's just where it started for me. You get what I mean? Like Busta, Ludacris, you know, they had those real fast flows like that.
So, Ease, who would you say did start that in your opinion?
I want to say like the more originators of that style were like, oh God, I'm going to start it with like Tech Nine really, because he started in the 80s. So that style, you know, Twista, of course.
Yeah.
There's a lot of like speed rappers, and at a certain time, damn, I don't want to mispronounce your name, bro. Like you said earlier, Jay-Z used to do those speed flows at the time. It was like one of those things. Like sometimes flows are, you know what I'm saying? Like people pick up on flows, and that just becomes the trend, basically. So yeah, mumble rap became a trend, but it wasn't. I don't think it spawned off of speed rapping, because the speed rappers were actually saying something. It's just if you could keep up and rap word for word with them. So that's a whole different thing to me.
Well, I look at it like this. So if you really think about it, like stuff back in the day, like people back in the day are way more aggressive when it comes down to work, when it comes down to work ethic, when it comes down to anything than today's generation. Today's generation is more lazy on a lot of things. So in terms of the skills that it takes to be a speed rapper, I feel like today's generation, they found a loophole to make it easier. Like, think about it. Like, this generation makes everything a lot easier. Like, even sweeping, they went from a Swiffer, which doesn't really sweep, to now a robot that sweeps for you. So like, we find the easy outlet for everything. So I feel like, me personally, I feel like when you had speed rappers, that was a talent. You had to keep working on more and more and more to perfect it. And I feel like you had one guy who was like, yo, I can kind of just get away by mumbling, and, you know, it flows.
Future.
And, and they just was like, they realized they don't have to put more effort. This is it. So they found the Roomba version of speed rapping.
I mean, you keep in mind that back in the days, they were recording completely different. You know what I mean? Like when they were recording stuff on like tape, you can't punch verses. If you're gonna punch a verse, you gotta like literally stop the tape, cut the tape. You know what I mean? Reattach the tape, and then keep going. So like, I think it was the preparation was different. I think they put a lot more work into their preparation. Like I'm sitting in my studio right now, so like I just redo the same verse 1,000 times. They wasn't doing that. You know what I mean? Like they didn't have time to do that. Everything
that's a great point. I mean, I think like me myself, I'm a spawn of that era too. Like, you know what I'm saying? I think we all around the same age anyway, but it's like that was the stuff that I grew up on. Like the legends of when they go to the studios, they already had like their verses or they had to battle somebody on the spot. That's what I grew up on. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I take lyrics more seriously. Now, this new generation, they didn't see that. You know what I'm saying? Like what they probably experienced was just mumble rap. So of course that's what they're gonna create. But when you come from that era in the 90s and you see like these technicians and things like that it's either you're gonna try to be one of them or you're not gonna try it at all. But now it's just a lot more accessible for anybody to be a rapper. Like you said, Paul, it's like they just pick it up because it's easy. But some of us are still like true to that cloth from back then.
Right. I was telling somebody recently as well. Like I used to when I first started rapping, I used to take a lot of pride in like one taking on my verses. I never went to the studio unprepared. Whenever I got to the studio, I would know my songs. I wouldn't even have to look at my phone or whatever I wrote it down on. That's just how I carried it. And then I actually learned like a different side of it, where, I'm sitting down now and I'm engineering myself and I'm purposely punching my stuff in order to give it a certain type of like flow. You get what I'm saying? So I think it's weird. Like I'm just trying to figure out the perfect balance of things. Because sometimes I feel like it's good to, rap my verses all the way through. And sometimes I feel like it's good to break them up as well.
Nepal, did you have anyone else you wanted to like talk about? 'Cause I know I kind of cut you off when you was giving your list with the Busta Rhymes thing and it kind of like splintered off. But did you have anyone else you wanted to drop in terms of like,
I have wrote Ludacris. I said Ludacris as well. And not in particular. Like it's just so much. And and music is really like repetition and everything just comes back around. It's like fashion. You know what I mean? Like if it's not in, it'll be in a couple of years. And all music comes from other music. And most of the things we hear today is like sampled. So, like I just feel like everybody feeds off everybody.
Right. All right, so I want to hit you guys with one more question, and then I think we're going to start wrapping up with this. And this was one that Wes wanted to talk about a lot, so I definitely wanted to get this one in. It was like, it basically goes like, should artists be responsible for the things they say when it comes to lyrics, speaking in public, opinions, and etc.? I feel like we touched on it a little bit when we was talking about the baby. And I know, Wes, one of the reasons why this like sparked for you had a lot to do with one, what the baby has been doing. And I think also what Lil Nas has been doing.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Because it's just like, and like I said, I brought this up. I think I definitely brought this up with Paul before. And like I said, I think we've like gone back and forth with it because I think I brought this up before when me, you, and Paul was on here talking, not on Coin Talk, but for the Good Bros podcast, which you should follow, by the way. But like it's like we said it earlier, where like things that you say, whatever, you have to deal with like. There's freedom of speech, but then you have to deal with those like consequences that come with it. I don't know, like, why does like and I don't know whether it is just the rappers themselves or it's the people on social media or whatever, but why do rappers feel like, oh, like, even though I have this spotlight, even though I have a following, even though I'm an influencer, and literally I could be telling people to damn near kill themselves, and some of them will actually really do it. Why do they not feel responsible for the things that they say? Like, oh, well, that's them. Like that's on them. But yes, but they wouldn't be exposed to it, if you weren't like saying those things, like, Pod, you have a daughter. Ease, I don't know if you have children, I'm sure you guys wouldn't come out here and say, I have children, your children do this. You know what I mean? You guys would care. So why do certain artists why do certain rappers just feel like, oh, I could put anything out there? Like, yes, like, it already exists, they might hear it from somewhere else, but why do you want to add to that? Like, what happens to social responsibility,
I got you. I think I'll go first. I think because the artists that are in the game now, it's not about the music. Point blank period. You know what I mean? Like, it's a fashion show. It's a lot of different things. I just feel like it's a game to a lot of people. People's lives are games to other people. People don't care how what they say affects people at the end of the day. You know what I mean? So like, they rich. They feel like they don't have to take responsibility for what they saying. They feel like they better than other people because they're in a better position. It's a lot of reasons, but it just all boils down to their foundation, their lack of love for themselves and the other people around them. You know what I mean? I can't get with that. I still go by the kindergarten rule. If you ain't got nothing positive to say, don't say nothing at all. You get what I mean? I treat life like it's kindergarten. Treat other people how you want to be treated. I actually care about people. I care about how people feel. And I try to affect people in a positive way whenever I get the opportunity. So it's hard for me to even fathom why somebody would do that, but that is because it's not in me. It's not in me to be that way.
Ease.
I guess I would not ask, but I'm sure we all agree that you don't want everybody being a spokesperson for you, right?
Right.
That's how I feel with hip hop artists too. Like, there's artists I don't want, you don't speak on Black issues, don't say nothing. You know what I'm saying? Like, I would rather you not say anything than say something on a lot of times. So I don't look at these people as role models. They're not meant to be role models a lot of time. You know what I'm saying? They're just people expressing their art. You know what I'm saying? No one's going up to, no one was going up to Tony Hawk and saying, hey, what did you feel about Bill Clinton getting his sucked? You know what I'm saying? Like, no one's doing that. You know what I'm saying? Because, let that man be a skateboarder. Let some people be rappers. Same thing. You know what I'm saying? That's all they want to be. Let them just be that. We shouldn't deify anybody. And, rappers are in that list too.
It's so crazy you're saying that, because I feel like that's literally what some athletes are saying. Like, me and Wes just recorded an episode the other day, and we was talking about Naomi Osaka, and I feel like what you just said is what she's basically saying, bro. I just want to be a tennis player. I don't want to do interviews. I don't want to do this. If y'all want to watch me play tennis, that's cool. Thank you. But that's all I want to do. So it's so crazy that you said it, because I feel like that fits for like literally what everyone seems to not understand when you have people that's in that spotlight to just say, bro, I'm just good at this thing. I just want to be good at this thing. I don't want to be anything more or less than that.
But that comes with it, though. That's what I'm saying. It's like any contract. Like, I'm sorry. Like, I know you guys may not want it, but it comes with it. You feel me? I feel like that's literally a part of it. You guys agree with that?
You have a moral responsibility. You get what I mean? And I believe so. You take Michael Jordan, for example. I know it's not hip hop, but Michael Jordan, they hated Michael Jordan because he wouldn't openly stand for certain politicians and stuff like that when it came time for election. And, he was this big figure all over the planet. So, of course, if he would have backed this, a Republican or a Democrat or somebody, that would have swayed a lot of people. And a lot of people didn't like the fact that he kind of stayed out of a lot of stuff because he was money focused. You know what I mean? He knew that if he sided with one side, then he would lose money on the other side. So a lot of people hated Jordan for that, but I actually kind of respected him for it because at the end of the day, like, listen, I'm here for this. I'm going to do this. I'm going to go home. And my opinions is my opinions. I'll keep them between myself and my family. People just give artists so much power. You know, people want to ostracize Kanye for the things he say, but at the end of the day, Kanye is just a great musical artist to me. You get what I mean? He's not a god. He's not a preacher. He's nothing more than a man who makes amazing music. And that's how I look at him. You get what I'm saying? We put these people on a pedestal, thus giving them the power. And I don't understand why people let these people with these idiots for real. I don't understand why they let that affect them. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, like, you know what's up. Like, you know, he really ain't like that.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I don't think no group of people want to be judged for the worst of their, you know what I'm saying? Like their worst group. You don't want to be judged by them.
Right.
So why instead of focusing on these ones that, you know what I'm saying? Like that are always in controversy or always saying the wrong thing. Focus on the ones that doing positive stuff. There's a ton of rappers that are like politically charged or, you know what I'm saying? If you need a quote on something, you can go to them. They choose not to. So that's on you at the end of the day.
100%.
That's fair.
Yeah, I definitely agree with what you guys said. I think that could be, you could take this, remove what we're talking about with hip hop artists and apply it to anyone in the spotlight.
Right.
Because
100%.
we have a need to glorify people. I know for sure, like, bigots glorify the crap out of people. That's obvious with how our politics are looking right now. To this day, still, to quote Deontay Wilder. So like, it's just one of the things where I definitely agree with a lot. You know, these, like, should you be responsible for the stuff that you say? Absolutely, but it also is based on what you're doing. I think that's the key factor, because, you know, you can have someone go like, whoa, you know, if you talked about politics, there's certain politicians that all they did was say stuff. It's not their fault people followed. I feel like it's different, you know. I feel like when you're talking about a musician and basically an entertainer of any kind, let them be an entertainer. If a comedian says a very offensive joke that may be racial or may be sexist, don't listen to that comedian. That comedian is going to have his own audience, his own group. If his sponsors want to sponsor him, let them be them. But if you're going to be, let's say, a political figure, then everything that Wes talked about, or should you be responsible for what you say, your opinions, etc. When it comes down to a person who has power to affect a large group of people's lives, absolutely. But when it comes down to artists, athletes of any kind, let them be them, bro. Like, if they're not a political figure that vote and changes things that could affect us in the long term, just let them be them.
Right. I mean, at the end of the day, when you said what you said, Paul, it made me think of something like, you're not gonna, as a black man, I'm not gonna like walk into like a KKK meeting and tell them, you know what I mean, how I feel, or like be like, hey, the way what you believe in is wrong. At the end of the day, I'm not going to do that because that would be stupid. I'd probably die. But I feel like that's how people need to kind of carry the internet. You get what I mean? Like, you walking in the rooms full of people that don't necessarily agree with you from the jump, and then sometimes you're trying to force your opinion on people. But at the end of the day, like, that room was never for you. You get what I'm saying?
Plus, when you think of it like that, it's harder to convince someone over a keyboard versus in person, because that energy in person is a lot different, you know?
It's 100% different.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I used to tell Neil this all the time. I used to tell Ease all this all the time in the wrestling room, man. The energy is different when you feed your opponent. You know, it helped him get far. You know, don't ask him what I mean by that. Just let me say that, and then let's leave it at that.
Kind wisdom in words.
Oh man, yeah, that joke's gonna get old real soon. But we hope you guys enjoyed this episode of the hip hop talk. You know, we talked about the hip hop industry. We hope you guys enjoyed a lot of stuff we had to say. We had 2 very knowledgeable guests on this show to break down stuff in a way that me and Wes, we're just not capable of doing. That's why we want to do these shows, because we want to bring people on that can speak so much more to stuff that we may not be able to speak the greatest on. So as we're getting ready to go, Napaj, do you have anything you want to push, anything you want to put out there? You know, some follows, some gram socials.
Yeah, of course. Follow me on Instagram at Japan Backwards Music. My Facebook is shut down. I got hacked. I got to figure out how to get back in there right now.
I saw that. Your hacker was hilarious.
Yeah, my mother was calling me. She was a little scared. But anyway, I got a show on September 3rd that I'm currently putting together with the Facts from the Lab podcast. We're going to be doing like an open mic type thing. I've done a few of them in the past. They've been really successful. So I'm going to be looking for some more artists to perform for that event, as well as I'm probably going to end up rolling out some new music in a few weeks. I've been in the gym, so as Wes has heard some stuff, but I got some surprises.
Ooh, okay.
So, Ease, do you have anything you want to put, some socials, some stuff? I know you just recently dropped a song not that long ago.
Yes. It's called 2-9. It's out now. It's a single. I normally put out a single every year on my birthday. So that was that. It's out. You know, people can stream that, as well as my latest project, The Villain Wins, that's streaming everywhere too. So that's me.
There we go. So make sure you guys, follow, make sure you guys support. Me and Paul will make the note to definitely pick these guys up on the Good Bros IG. So that way you guys will have their ads and their pages and their links right there. So all you have to do is click. It is easy as 1, 2, 3. But thank you, gentlemen. We definitely appreciate you guys.
Appreciate you guys as well. Thanks for having me, Good Bros and the Coin Talk.
Thank you guys for coming. I'm Paul. This is my man's
Wes Blue.
We hope you guys enjoyed this episode of the Coin Talk, and I hope you guys are going to subscribe. I hope you guys hope you guys comment, because apparently, when you do all 3, it helps upvote these videos to be seen by more people. So please do that. And we'll see you next time we do another episode. I don't have an outro for this. It's just how it goes. So we see you next time we do another episode.
Peace.
I tried by error to become the best ever. I sustained any weather and I got better and better. I use my dreams to propel us. I aim so high in the stellar, cause my lyrics were stellar. I got my groove like I'm stellar. Young, a schoolboy, cute a professor. Profound in my studies, I could talk a bit lesser. All amps in my engine like I'm driving a Tesla. My leaving shell shock, what I spit is electric. Can you tell them?